In this video, I'm going to share with you the top 10 factors that block healers from being a channel for healing. Watch till the end of the video to find out perhaps one of the most surprising ones of all. So if you are into self-healing or healing others, then this video is for you. Hello, my name is Illura and welcome to or back to the channel. And today's video is, as we said, is going to take you through 10 factors that are going to help you to understand the journey of a healer and how things are going for you, and perhaps some surprising things that may have been blocking you. And this video is not intended to stop you from healing or pursuing this path, whether it's self-healing and healing for others. And it's just to gently guide you and to point out some things that could be blocking you on your path. And it's also a video that's good for practitioners. So if you don't want to have anything to do with healing other people, but you're just interested in healing yourself or developing yourself, then this video is also for you. So let's get into it. Number 1, dishonesty. Dishonesty always has to be the most important thing to get right, because when we're dishonest, we don't get any real clear feedback. We have no map. It's like everything's getting sullied and dirty because we're not honest. Yeah, we can be dishonest in many different ways in our life. One of the ways in healing, it can be dishonest about your ability. It can be dishonest about how much practice you're really putting into your practice, into your path. And what often comes out is that we have excuses. Excuses start to become our narrative rather than honest truth. And excuses are pretty much lies, and they tend to keep us in this quality of dishonesty, which can very easily lead us off path and onto a path that is really not feeding good things at all, which is a very negative path, and what you could even call an evil path if you take it as far as often we've seen some spiritual teachers take that path. And dishonesty does, it also can create a situation where you think the healing energy is all about you and all coming from you. And the fact is, any healing energy that is truly healing and truly nourishing is actually coming through you. And our role here on earth is to be a vessel or a channel or a vehicle for healing energy to come through. And if we forget that, then there's a sense of dishonesty in that, and it can really affect and block our energy as a healer. So honesty, being honest, guys, is so important to being a healer. It really helps you stay on track. It helps keep things in perspective. It gives you the feedback that you need, and it stops you from basically getting caught up in the emotional body.
I'm not a businessman. I am a holistic healer. It's a calling. It's a gift.
Number 2, being unfocused. All of us feel unfocused, and some of us more than others, or some of us are overcoming that sense of unfocused. But being unfocused means that you can't focus on healing, whether it's in the moment, healing someone or yourself. Being unfocused means you have no point of vision, you have no marker, you're not able to stay on track literally. And so you often can't start healing, you can't keep it going, can't be consistent because you're not focused. And you can't really help yourself or others because your energy is so scattered because you're not focused. So when you're unfocused, things just all go out of alignment, whether it's your body, your mind, your emotions. And so you cannot align your body, your mind and emotions with your spirit. So being focused is really important, not in a hard way, but more in like a soft way, like a soft light that's able to expand and soften and become the consciousness that is multi-directional, multifaceted through that softness. That's the kind of focus we want as a healer, so that we're able to grow and take in what's going on and continue on in the path that we're on. Number 3, no solo training. Solo training means like formal training, solo training, training on your own. I've met many healers, and once upon a time I was one of those healers that would not train by myself. I always just trained with others. So I would practice on people. I would do healings with others, and that was my training ground for healing. This is a really big mistake, and I think a lot of people make it. Training on your own takes discipline, it takes You know, you've got to put in the hard work and it takes time, but it's really the richest part of any kind of training. Any healing or massage you do on another, you need to have that solo training behind you, because that's where you get all your practice. That's where you develop your values, you develop trust in your art, trust in yourself, and you just get so much back from solo training. It develops every aspect of you, and actually solo training takes care of a lot of these factors that I'm going to talk about today in this video with you, because it helps to really strengthen you, and it really helps you to build your foundations and really respect what you're doing and what's coming through you. Solo training is absolutely imperative. Okay, the fourth factor that we're going to talk about today is thinking too much. A lot of us just are stuck up in our heads. We're thinking so much, and it really creates a hardness and a rigidity in the mental field. Now, the mental field is very expansive and very soft and can really go out, but if you're thinking and stuck in your mind, then you're just going to harden up and you're going to cut yourself off from the most important thing in healing, which is feeling. As you know that saying, in order to heal it, you need to feel it. So if you're just thinking all the time and intellectualizing and rolling around in that rigid state of mind, as it starts to accumulate more and more tension, you get stuck and rigidified up in your mind, up in your head, and your head will actually start to feel really full. And what that actually does is it leads back to the first factor of honesty. And even though you're not trying to be dishonest, when you're thinking all the time, like I said, if you're dishonest, you're not getting that feedback, not getting that real vision, that real picture of what's going on. So if you're thinking all the time, you can just be making up stuff about what you're sensing in someone else, or, you know, spirit guides, all these things. Just, it's really hard to tell what's true and what's not anymore. So feeling is really, really important. Really, really important. And if you're not able to feel very well, you're not connected to feeling, there are many practices that you can do, and I would like to make more videos on this for you if you've kind of developed into someone that's not able to feel anymore. So it's really easy to turn that around. It just takes a little bit of time and some commitment, and you can become a feeling person again and feel things that you couldn't feel before. It's quite a cool experience. Okay, number five. Number five is not listening. Not being a very good listener really blocks your healing ability, your ability to heal yourself and your ability to heal others. Not listening, again, doesn't give you any feedback. When we use our ears and our eyes and our nose and all of our psychic senses, our spirit senses, to listen to ourselves, to our environment, and to others that we're working with, it gives us a lot of feedback. It really helps to develop trust in your abilities. It really helps to develop connection with yourself and with others. Listening expands and opens and is a very softening experience, and it helps to bring in insight so that you can update yourself with what's going on in your spiritual body. And we're able to receive, appreciate others, receive from others, and it also helps to develop gratitude. So listening is really important. It also helps to develop compassion as well. Okay, factor number 6 is diet. Diet, as you know, really affects how you feel. And when we have a crazy diet that doesn't suit our body type, then it could really screw around with your hormones, your energy levels, and your personality can go a little bit crazy if you're eating the wrong foods. So some of us are not necessarily fully allergic to foods, but we might not be able to tolerate them. I've certainly noticed that as I get older, I'm less able to tolerate certain foods that I used to mac out on, like when I was younger. So there'll be foods, you've got to kind of pay attention to what's working, what's not. Again, honesty comes into this, and many of the other factors that we're still going to talk about, because if you don't have your diet down well, then if you don't have a diet that's working for you, then you can really just go off path as well. It can really affect your interest even. I know that if I eat like breads, grains, that kind of food, carbohydrates, I just start to kind of become like disconnected to my spiritual path. So as much as I love my spiritual path and it is my life, it just will happen. What I put in just speaks out through my body, through my mind, through my emotions. So eating foods that really work for you is really important, and they are literally the fuel. And so many of us are just emotionally obsessed with food, addicted to food. And so it takes some discipline and strength to change your diet. But if you keep seeing the same patterns over and over again, and you're going to choose to be honest about it and really take your path seriously, then changing your diet is a must. Now, not all diets suit everybody. The carnivore diet suits me, the keto diet suits me, fasting suits me. These are all things that I do, and certain other diets just don't. But these diets that work for me really might not work for you. So I really say that it is really up to you what works for you. It's a really personal thing. Number seven is what I would call like the difference between modesty and humility. Now, for me, humility is a lovely value that someone can have where they feel humbled to have a spiritual path that's moving through them. Whereas, and also be around other practitioners that are really good or developing their path, like to be part of that, and you need to be humble to be part of that. On the other hand, modesty is something very different. Modesty is really connected with image, with your self-image, with your ego, with your personality selves. It's really a lot about fitting in and social constructs, and often has a lot to do with, it can look like you kind of don't think you're good enough and you're very modest and nice, but actually often there's a flip side to that modesty of feeling like you're not a really good healer and you don't really know what you're doing, and all these kinds of beliefs that come up in these stories and narratives that come out. There is a flip side to all of that. So if someone is insecure in their path, it can have a really negative flip side, and the flip side is that it's the superiority. So on one side you feel inferior, but when you start to get ability, when you start to make money, when you start to have people interested in what you're doing, you can then start to think that you're better than other people. And it's a very dark path. It can lead many astray, and it has led many astray. And so the flip side of that modesty, of playing the card that you're really not good and you kind of, this kind of thing, really has a flip side, that if you go on one side, on the other side of the coin very easily, even if you think you might not be like that, it can start to develop. Again, honesty would help you to prevent being like that. Number 8 is being unwilling to sacrifice what needs to be sacrificed in order for you to live your spiritual path and to develop as a spiritual being and a healer, whether it's self-healing and or healing others. And sacrificing is around, really it comes down to being disciplined, and discipline really is about having respect for yourself and respect for your art and respect for whatever energies are coming through you. And discipline and sacrifice, if we look at kind of monks or hermits and shamans and people that live apart from society, although it might seem like a blessing in some ways because they don't have to be part of this crazy world in many ways, but at the same time, many of the things that we love, like watching TV, having sex, eating certain foods, doing certain things, that is a sacrifice. They've chosen not to do those things if they're really walking that path. And that really takes certain distractions and emotions and just taking the edge off your day out of your life. You don't get to do those things. So, you're not saying you have to live like a monk and a shaman and a hermit in the woods and at the top of a mountain, but if you want to really develop yourself spiritually, you really need to know what it is that you need to sacrifice, what you're not sacrificing, and what's the pay up, like what's happening on your spiritual path because you're not willing to just say change your diet, or because you're not willing to spend less time on your smartphone. So discipline, sacrifice, it all takes strength, it takes discipline, it takes courage, and it really is a powerful force. And that's why you need to let go of those parts of you that are not worthy, or those areas of your life that are not worthy, in order to rise up. Because there are certain things like diet, like many of these things I'm bringing up, that have a certain density to them, like foods, for example, or the density of dishonesty is very, very heavy, and that actually weighs your spirit body down. So when we're able to enable sacrifice in our life, we're able to let go and release the things that are no longer worthy in us, and we're able to lift and lighten and become lighter, and at the same time our values become stronger. Number 9 is around imagination, which might be a little bit surprising because many people use their imagination to heal, to visualize in meditation. Imagination, though, obviously is a really wonderful creative tool, but if it's used unskillfully, it actually will impede and hinder your natural healing ability. And it'll also confuse you as to what is really going on, what is really being felt, and what is just being imagined and more intellectualized. So what makes the imagination a really helpful tool is when we use our physical body as the canvas, and as the canvas for feedback. So if you're using your imagination in an unskillful way, it's like painting in the air. Yeah, there's just no feedback. The paint's just falling in the air and you're not getting anything real back. So when you use your physical body as the canvas for healing and for imagination, then you are actually feeling those things that you are imagining, but they're felt in your physical body. And then you can start to work with those qualities and frequencies and energies and really develop them. But it's only on the body, the physical body as the canvas where you feel these things, that you're then able to do something with them. And imagination and using it in an unskillful way is a real thing. A lot of people do it, and it will really hold you back unless you know how to kind of navigate your way through that and onto a more real foundational usage of the imagination where we feel it in our physical foundations. Okay, and number 10, the last factor that can stop you, might be a little bit surprising, and I just thought I'd put it at the end because it is an interesting one, and it's actually cellulite. So cellulite, yes, is often being understood to be just an ugly thing on someone's body or on your own body, but actually cellulite, apart from not being very attractive, it's actually quite detrimental to your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, and the health of your spiritual path. And that is because when you have cellulite, it's a breakdown of tissue in your body. And so though there are weak connective tissues occurring wherever the cellulite is, and it means that the connection is also weak. So it's kind of like having dial-up as opposed to Wi-Fi, like high-speed internet, and the lines of communication just aren't connecting and flowing, and so you're not getting everything that is just on the body physically, electrically, emotionally, mentally, energetically, spiritually, karmically. All these lines of interconnection aren't connecting well, and it really will get in the way of your spiritual path. And as you get older, it'll also affect your mind, your mental health in quite deep ways that I don't think has probably been maybe researched enough yet. So if you have cellulite and you're wanting to get rid of it, there's another good reason if you are wanting to develop yourself and develop your spirit. So guys, this has been the 10 factors that block your healing energy, and I hope it's been really helpful. It certainly hasn't been intended to stop you from doing your path. It's meant to motivate you and to help you take a look at, take a step back and look at how you're going on your path, and whether you're where you want to be, taking a look at these 10 things or anything else that you've noticed that might be hindering, blocking, slowing down, just kind of getting in your way, and you keep kind of going through the same cycles over and over again. If that's what's happening to you, take another look at this video and see what it is that you might be able to make changes in your life. Subscribe to the channel, and if you have any ideas, put them below in the comments section so we can all see what other factors might be stopping you, or things that have helped you. Is always helpful for everybody who's taking a look to have a look and learn together. Okay guys, thanks so much. My name is Illura, and bye-bye for now.